Alright, so it's been a while since I've tried this whole YouTube thing, and yeah, there's been a lot of changes. But for the people that are new here, my name is Naze or Sean, and these are some tips that got me into Immortal. Alright, before we get into the tips, I just want to lay some few things out. First of all, Aimlabs. Aimlabs will not improve your aim at all. Gridshot Aimlabs is kind of like a warm-up to get you familiar with your sensitivity before you play. It's like the warm-up to the warm-up. That's the best way I can describe it. So Aimlabs, don't use it as a warm-up. It doesn't help at all. It doesn't help you improve your aim, but to warm up your hands, yes. Number 2, deathmatch. Hopping into a few death matches and coming first every once in a while is not going to help you improve in your game. Deathmatch is very good to be a part of your practice routine, but it's not going to help you with just 1 or 2 games. Number 3, and I say this all the time, no matter how bad your teammate's doing, any toxicity towards them is just going to make them play worse, and that's not going to help you. I know that's not a warm-up, but just thought I'd throw that out there because you're not going to improve very much with the toxic mentality. Valorant isn't all about aim, but it's a huge part of the game, and the best thing to do is to find your sensitivity that you're most comfortable with. Personally, how I find my sensitivity is I would strafe around these bots and try and keep my crosshair closest to their head as possible. So if you're strafing left, if your crosshair is to the right of the head, that means your aiming is too fast, and if it's to the left, that means it's too slow. When you're changing your sensitivity off of this, make micro adjustments. Don't put it up by a whole 1. Put it up by like 0.1, 0.2, and try and figure out the best sensitivity for you. Once you've found something that you're comfortable with and you've done this for a while, you could try to flick on the bots. If your flicks are overshooting, then you should lower your sense a little bit. Once again, micro adjustments, not too much. And if you're undershooting it, then you can raise your sense a little bit. Okay, so this one is a little weird, but usually what I do is I pick Sage and I wall myself up, and so that way there's a different elevation, and I just tap the heads. Once you've done all that and you've figured out a comfortable sensitivity, you're going to implement all those into your warm-up. And before you do that, if you want to try doing Aimlabs warm up your hands, that's perfectly okay, but it's not something that you should focus on to strictly improve. Once you're feeling super confident in your shot, you can head into a game. Finding your sensitivity is to help you get comfortable when flicking when you need to. And I say when you need to because crosshair placement is the biggest part of this game when it comes to aim. I'm sure most of you know this, but I thought I'd share it anyways. I'm going to show you some tricks to help you figure out where your crosshair should be on each map. The majority of you probably understand the basic fundamentals of crosshair placement, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to explain it anyways. So first and foremost, boxes that have 2 on top of each other, there's going to be a line in between, and the best way to figure out the crosshair placement is to shoot a little bit below the line. This is going to help you for basic head level, but for elevation, it's not going to help you so much because the head is in a different spot. For example, if I'm peeking from tree, someone's head is going to be slightly lower than this line over here. Another example from A Heaven is right this line right here, it would be right underneath. And if you're looking into A Heaven, there's another line right here, you'd aim right above that right here. When they're on a higher elevation and they're closer to you, this line right here for the boxes would be where their head is. If they're further away, it would be right where the line is at the back. Another example, when you're peeking market from B main, the head level would be right below this lamp right here. Peeking B main through CT would be a little bit above this gray brick right here. Once again, from CT, you see this line right here, you shoot a little bit below it. Entering into B from back sight, you'd see this line right here, you'd shoot right on it. This works from either side too. Once again, from mid, you use the lines of these boxes and you shoot a little bit below it. Now, with all that in mind, you can use your obstacles around you to keep your crosshair in the right spot. Never run around with it too low and never run around with it too high. From here on out, it's going to be trial and error. You're going to use your best judgment on where head level would be. But these boxes, the lines, is the best way to get you familiar with where crosshair placement should be. In Valorant, I'd say 90% of the game is more about strategy than just shooting. Each character in the game has a role set to them that is either categorized as Initiator, Duelist, Sentinel, Smokes. Now, I'd say if you want to improve, then the best way to improve is to learn one of each category. For example, the Sentinel I learned is Killjoy and Chamber, the Duelist I learned is Reyna Jet, the Smokes I learned is Omen, and the Initiator I learned is Skye. The reason that you should learn one character from each category is because when someone insta-locks 2 Duelists and you're stuck, you don't know what to do, the best bet is to go with someone that you're more comfortable with, so I'd say practice with each character. Traditionally, you're going to need 1 Sentinel, 1 Smoke, 2 Duelists, and 1 Initiator. You could get away with doing 1 Duelist, 2 Initiator, but traditionally speaking, that's what people use most of the time. But if you're in Agent Select and everyone's already picked a character, just make sure you pick a character that's best needed for your team comp. Another helpful tip I can give you is that when you're on a win streak, only play 1 or 2 games, maybe even 3 if you're doing really well, but after that, quit. 2 or 3 games a day is the easiest way to climb, and especially if you're tilting, don't play the game. Take a 2 or 3 hour break and come back. When you're tilting, you're going to make unnoticeable mistakes and you need a reset. The goal to hop into the game is to play the best to your ability. And if you play one game and you're not feeling well, even if you win, then just take a little break or take some time to reset. Another thing that I see a lot of people complaining about is smurfs. I'm a victim of this too. I've done this in the past, but you gotta think that everyone is human and everyone has flaws. If you get put up against someone who's better than you or you think is better than you, then you can always find their flaws and weaknesses, and you can find a way to become the better player in that situation. Just because our rank is immortal, the game doesn't mean that literally we can still die and we still have weaknesses. My biggest issue back in September when I was gold 3 plat 1 Hardstuck was I had all aim no brain. So if your aim is insanely good, the best way to improve is to be calm and collective, and you'll slowly improve in the ranking system. That's going to do it for this video. I hope these tips really helped you, and I hope to see you guys all climb with me. Thanks for watching.